Wednesday, March 11th, and this is now on HNN.
COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
This as we learn a doctor in Canada has tested positive for COVID-19 after returning from a trip to Hawaii.
I'm Deborah Alford at the White House, where the Trump administration is working on stemming the economic impact of the coronavirus pandemic.
In order to win in the future, you need to win the voters who represent the future of our country.
Bernie Sanders says he is staying in the Democratic presidential race. I'm Skyler Henry in Washington as coronavirus concerns shift campaigns moving forward.
These stories plus the impact the coronavirus has on the launch of new streaming services coming up on This Is Now.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jonathan alongside Ashley here. This is Now. We have a lot of news to get to, but I wanted to mention we've learned that the president is going to address the nation in a primetime event tonight. That's going to happen 3 o'clock Hawaii time. It is in regards to the coronavirus, so we're going to have to wait and see what happens there, but we have a lot of developments to get to regarding that virus.
Right, we start with developing news out of Canada. So we've confirmed a Canadian doctor in her 30s has tested positive for COVID-19 after returning from a trip to Hawaii. Now, officials say the woman started experiencing symptoms while working at a Hamilton area hospital on Monday. We're told she was tested that day and her sample came back positive yesterday. It's not clear which island or islands she was visiting while here in Hawaii and how long she was in the state. Canadian media is reporting she did return to Canada on Saturday, and officials say the woman is now in self-isolation at home. The hospital says the risk of her coworkers and those who had contact with her at the clinic is low. We've also reached out to state officials here at home to get more information, but are waiting to hear back.
All right, we got to get you closing numbers on Wall Street, down 5%. Another rocky day there after a little bounce back yesterday. That's down more than 1,460 points there on the Dow. Got a lot of national developments to get to as well regarding the virus.
Right, so as you heard in headlines, the World Health Organization has officially declared the coronavirus outbreak a pandemic. This as U.S. officials race to implement new measures to stop the spread of the virus. Here's Tom Hansen reporting from New York.
The World Health Organization says the alarming levels of spread and severity of coronavirus have changed its assessment of the outbreak.
COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
Here in the U.S., officials are taking increased measures to limit social interaction. Houston is closing its popular livestock show and rodeo. San Francisco is prohibiting events with 1,000 people or more, including Warriors games, which will be played without fans. And Washington State Governor Jay Inslee announced a ban on gatherings of more than 250 people in 3 counties that are experiencing significant community transmission.
This is an effective tactic. It is at hand. All it requires is the will of active people to follow science and confidence that we're all in this together.
Here in the New York City suburb of New Rochelle, a mile-wide containment area goes into effect Thursday, and some commuters are nervous.
It is a concern. I think we all should be concerned. They're talking about washing your hands and everything. I feel like a doctor. I've been washing my hands so much.
New Rochelle has more than 100 cases of coronavirus. To stop the spread, schools within the 1-mile area will close for 2 weeks, and the National Guard will deliver food to homes and help clean public spaces.
No one is prohibited from entering or leaving the area. This does not affect individual homeowners or families or businesses.
In Denver, Colorado, cars snaked around a parking lot where health officials opened up a drive-through testing site. Patients need a doctor's note in order to be tested for the coronavirus. And passengers are still disembarking from the Grand Princess in California, a process now in its 3rd day. Tom Hansen, CBS News, New Rochelle, New York.
And back here at home, the coronavirus outbreak has local economists predicting a downturn worse than the fallout from the SARS outbreak 17 years ago. Experts at the University of Hawaii's Economic Research Organization, or UHERO, are predicting that the state's tourism industry, which generates $17 billion a year, will see major layoffs. The forecast says Hawaii could lose up to 6,000 jobs, and the state will not recover until the summer of next year. The state has already seen a sharp drop in passenger arrivals and hotel occupancy rates, along with a steady rise in cancellations. And a sudden surge of patients is one of the main concerns for hospitals and clinics across the state. Yesterday, the Lieutenant Governor joined a group of lawmakers on Maui to see if the Valley Isle is ready for the challenge. Here's Keahi Tucker.
A sign of the times in Wailuku, state lawmakers tried out the new hands-free greeting as they headed into the Maui Memorial Medical Center to see if it's prepared for an influx of COVID-19 patients. The CEO's answer, absolutely.
We're ready, we're prepared, we have the staff, the supplies, and the expertise necessary.
Molokai Lanai really stresses us to the max.
Inside the ER, Maui County's mayor and Hawaii's lieutenant governor, a doctor himself, got valuable feedback on how the government can help hospitals prepare for an epidemic.
Physicians were worried about being able to screen in their offices. They don't have enough PPE, which is protective equipment, and by not being able to have that equipment and screen safely, they felt it was better to screen at a secondary site. So we're working on a plan for that.
While lawmakers advance a bill to provide $10 million in emergency funds, private medical firms are increasing testing on their own. Urgent Care Hawaii is now offering curbside screening at 3 Oahu locations. Anyone with symptoms or who's been exposed to the virus can pull up and get help with or without insurance. Doctors across the state can also swab patients on their own. Test results are due back in 3 days. And hospitals on every island are checking visitors for fevers and restricting access.
Everybody's working together to make sure that we can get through this as best as we can.
And we learned yesterday that 2 more Hawaii tests came back negative, so the state has administered 26 tests so far. But a new statewide surveillance testing system aims to screen 200 people a week who may be flying under the radar with mild symptoms. Urgent Care Hawaii also started curbside coronavirus testing at all Oahu locations. They're accepting anyone with or without insurance as long as individuals are displaying symptoms or have been exposed to someone with the virus.
All right, I know I stocked up a little bit on my hand sanitizer and soap as well, but it's not just individuals like you and me that are stocking up. Many companies are ordering more in bulk, and suppliers are having a tough time keeping up with demand. Jim Mendoza went searching for answers to see where folks are finding their supplies, and he checked in with some of the biggest distributors. Let's take a look at that report.
At Triple F Distributing, all that's left of sanitizers and disinfectants it sells are these samples. Company President Chris Yankowski says the coronavirus scare has significantly increased orders from customers.
There's spray bottles, there's gallons that you can mix, so there's a lot of different sanitizing options out there. Right now we're getting hit pretty hard and are basically wiped out of product.
Triple F sells cleaning supplies to thousands of businesses, from restaurants to hotels to high-rises.
We pretty much service everybody.
Demand started going up 2 weeks ago, putting pressure on manufacturers to produce more and slowing delivery to distributors throughout the U.S. Triple F is expecting its next shipment of sanitizers and disinfecting products to arrive in about 10 days, and almost all of it will leave this warehouse as soon as it comes in.
We dilute this Virex chemical.
CleanCo CEO Scott Paul says customers want enhanced cleaning of workspaces, so janitorial services need more sanitizing supplies. He bought an electrostatic spray machine to disperse disinfectants.
We're going in regularly to some of the commercial offices and spraying down the high-touch areas, so doorknobs again, lobby entrances, bathrooms, and the like.
Despite increased demand for sanitizing products, Triple F needs to be careful not to over-order and to make sure clients don't hoard.
If you order it, you need to take it. We're not going to take it back because obviously that could happen if this thing comes to an end and they're sitting on product.
After the next shipment in 10 days, it could be 2 weeks before another order of sanitizers and disinfectants restock Triple F's warehouse. Jim Mendoza, Hawaii News Now.
Now, the coronavirus also means a lot less company for homebound kupuna who look forward to their meal deliveries. Volunteers with Meals on Wheels Lanakila Pacific say from now on, they'll keep a 6-foot buffer when they drop off food. They plan to leave the bags on a sanitized mat outside the front door, and they won't stay and hang out with the seniors like some volunteers usually do. The nonprofit says it's often the only social interactions a homebound senior gets, but if a senior is sick, the driver will call when leaving the food food outside the door, and the nonprofit is also sanitizing the equipment more than usual. And of course, the outbreak is causing cancellations of big events and conferences, as well as disruptions in the sports world. The president of the NCAA just announced that all March Madness basketball games will be played in arenas without fans. And meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., lawmakers are demanding more transparency from federal health officials. Deborah Alfarone has the latest.
Stocks took another tumble Wednesday as Washington grapples with fallout from the coronavirus crisis. Officials tell CBS News the White House is considering having the IRS delay the April 15th tax deadline, as well as an executive order requiring the government to purchase American-made pharmaceuticals and medical equipment.
I'll be making some decisions. I've already made some decisions actually today, but I'll be making some other ones that are very important.
President Trump met with top banking executives to discuss the economic response to COVID-19, one day after he lobbied congressional Republicans for a stimulus package that would include tax relief to hard-hit industries and a payroll tax cut.
The president seems to be more worried about the health of the big banks than the health of Americans.
Democrats are working on their own legislation targeted to help workers and families impacted by the outbreak.
That will take the form of enhanced unemployment insurance. That will take the form of food security efforts. That will take the form of making sure that there's paid sick leave, and hopefully we can find common ground with the administration.
After meetings with Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin, House Speaker Pelosi met with her caucus to hash out a bill that could reach the House floor as early as Thursday. Earlier, top Trump administration health officials warned lawmakers the coronavirus outbreak is only going to get worse.
We will see more cases, and things will get worse than they are right now.
The hearing was cut short after officials were summoned to the White House for a meeting. It'll resume on Thursday. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, the White House.
All right, back here at home, local churches are actually taking steps to prevent parishioners from spreading germs. The Catholic Diocese here has recommended people receive communion in their hands instead of their mouth. They're also asking churchgoers to avoid holding hands, so that's some major changes there for our church-going community.
And in Italy, business has come to an almost halt as bars and restaurants have limited hours and events like weddings, baptisms, and funerals have been banned. But some Italians are still trying to maintain some sense of normalcy. Ben Wiedemann reports.
Even though all sporting events have been canceled, even though weddings, baptisms, and funerals have been banned to avoid any social gatherings, what we're seeing is that still people are moving around, still people are trying to maintain the semblance of a normal life. But that normal life is also being impacted by the fact that business has basically almost come to a screeching halt. All bars and restaurants are supposed to be closed between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m., although apparently some restaurants are still delivering food, so they're functioning, but they simply aren't open to the public. Now, we had the opportunity here in Bologna to speak with several shopkeepers. Some of them said they'd rather see, for instance, a 20-day shutdown of all businesses in the entire country, with the exception of things like supermarkets, just to get the situation under control and stabilize the economy and perhaps bring tourists back, bring business back, because the situation economically and from a health standpoint is becoming critical. I'm Ben Wiedemann, CNN, reporting from Bologna in northern Italy.
All right, our coverage doesn't stop here. We have so much more to get to today, and we have special updates coming out throughout the afternoon. We are going to take the president's address live, of course. That's coming up at 3. We still are planning a digital update this afternoon that might be interrupted because of the president's speech, but of course we'll also have continuing coverage today at 5 and 6 on HNN's evening newscast. And don't forget to sign up for those newsletters, our special coronavirus outbreak newsletters. We're sending them daily or as late-breaking news comes in. All right, let's switch gears here just a bit. I'm going to take you outside. We're looking there at Diamond Head down King Street. Let's get a check of the weather because I hear there's actually a chance of thunderstorms in the works. Here's Guy Hockey.
How's it on this Wednesday? I'm Guy Hoggy with your HawaiiNewsNow.com forecast. You can see the winds right now, basically slow, light and variable, coming in from all points of the compass. That will be the case for the better part of the day, mostly under 15 miles an hour, except for the Big Island summits. They are under a wind advisory. Mauna Kea and Mauna Loa going to get gusts upwards of 60 miles an hour until Friday evening, maybe even beyond that. So even though the sea level winds will be relatively slow up in the summits, it's going to be really, really dangerous and windy. And now we're not expecting a whole lot of rain until this front moves in sometime tomorrow night. Tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night, look for increasing clouds and showers. Today, we could see some afternoon clouds for some leeward spots and some afternoon showers, although there's a little bit of moisture just to the south of Maui County, and they could see some of that moisture this morning. Otherwise, we're going to get a day similar to yesterday. Morning sunshine, afternoon clouds, and a few afternoon showers, and temperatures running into the low 80s. Now, as far as the surf, a swell up in the country has peaked. It's already leveling off at about 4 to 6 feet. Great conditions this morning all around the compass. Not a whole lot happening on the south shore. East shore is dropping, but really clean 3 to 5 footers. So stormy weather is on the way. Not yet. Today should be nice with relatively dry conditions and a few afternoon splashes. And tomorrow, look for that cold front to move in with more clouds and showers late in the day through tomorrow night. And then on Friday, moisture coming up from the south will bring cloudy skies, spotty thunderstorms. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we could even get some flooding conditions. Keep it here on Hawaii News Now. We'll have all your severe weather updates.
In politics now, the battle to become the Democratic nominee is still on despite a strong showing from former Vice President Joe Biden in Tuesday's primary contest. Here's Skylar Henry from Washington.
Bernie Sanders announced he is staying in the race, but admits he has work to do if he wants to beat Joe Biden.
While our campaign has won the ideological debate, we are losing the debate over electability.
Pressure within the party is expected to mount for Senator Sanders to abandon his challenge after he lost 4 of the states voting Tuesday. But Sanders says he can win with the support of young voters.
I say to the Democratic establishment, in order to win in the future, you need to win the voters who represent the future of our country.
Biden is asking all of Sanders supporters, young and old, to join him.
I want to thank Bernie Sanders and his supporters for their tireless energy and their passion. We share a common goal, and together we'll defeat Donald Trump.
Sanders also emphasized that President Trump must be defeated. It's unclear what campaign events will look like moving forward, with growing concerns about the spread of coronavirus. Both Biden and Sanders heeded health officials' warnings against large gatherings and canceled campaign events in Ohio last night.
I've said all along that we would follow the guidance of the CDC, state and local officials, and public health officials with respect to our campaign events. We'll continue to do that.
There won't be a live audience this weekend when Biden and Sanders debate each other in Phoenix. Arizona is one of 4 states voting next Tuesday, with more than 500 delegates at stake. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
Harvey Weinstein was sentenced to 23 years in prison for rape and sexual assault. The Hollywood mogul was convicted last month of raping a woman in a New York City hotel room in 2013 and forcibly performing oral sex on another woman at his apartment in 2006. He faced a maximum of 29 years in prison. Both women that Weinstein was convicted of assaulting spoke in court today before the judge announced the sentence. Now, while most of the economy is taking a hit from the coronavirus outbreak, companies set to launch streaming services could benefit with more people getting sick and staying at home. Warner Media's HBO Max, NBC Universal's Peacock, and Quibi are all set to debut between now and May, and streamers could see a significant subscriber boost with the outbreak. Evidence of a streaming boom has already occurred in China, where the virus originated.
Okay, I can see how that can all play out, but here's my question. With all these new streaming services, my whole idea behind it was to make it cheaper, cut my cable bill. But now there's so many streaming services, Adrian included, it's free though, that my bill's just as high. I'm paying like $40 in streaming services at this point, and I cut the cable and just use the app on my cable provider, but still it's working out the same by the time I pay Wi-Fi and the streaming services. But I understand, I was listening to NPR Marketplace, and there's basically a streaming war going on. So we're just seeing this influx of services, and it's just a matter of who's going to win and who's going to lose. And obviously Netflix is there at a huge advantage point, but we'll see how it all plans out.
Yeah.
Super interesting.
NBC's Peacock is looking really attractive because they're going to have The Office, Parks and Rec only. A lot of my favorite shows.
Everyone's taking back their stuff
Exactly.
from Netflix. So
Yeah.
Netflix is being forced to make these huge blockbuster shows on their own. They're becoming their own production studio. And from the NPR report I listened to, they're taking out a bunch of junk bonds to do it. It's either debt or die is the name of the story.
Wow.
So, interesting. Let's get to some more entertainment news, this time here locally. A familiar face is coming back to town.
Yes, Dwayne Chapman is returning to Hawaii nearly a year after losing his wife. Dog the Bounty Hunter will share his story with former convicts in West Oahu. The reality TV star will talk about faith and hard work tonight at 6:30 at the Habilitat campus in Kapolei. The organization helps former convicts, homeless, and people who have struggled with substance abuse. All three things Chapman says he is very familiar with.
Good to see him back in town. A fan favorite for many here on the islands. All right, Fast Food Nation, getting some new news.
Yes, so I don't know if I've ever had Chick-fil-A. I can't
I had it
remember.
at an airport, which I don't think does the same. You know,
Yeah.
an airport food's never the same. But wasn't there talk? We're getting some. I believe we did a story about that.
There's been rumors about all kind of stuff. I don't know what's
Yeah,
true
I'm not sure if
anymore.
it's officially happening. We'll have to go back in the archives.
Well, if you're a fan of Chick-fil-A, you'll be happy to know its signature sauce may soon be easier to come by. That's because next month, bottles of Chick-fil-A sauce and its Polynesian sauce will be for sale in some stores, only in Florida though. So a 16-ounce bottle will cost you about $3.50, and all proceeds will go to the company's scholarship fund for employees.
I just got to say it, their packaging, I'm always a big sucker for packaging. It gets me every time. But that looks like
Glue?
sunblock or
Yeah.
like some sort of industrial product. It's not exactly the most flashy packaging there.
Yeah.
You know? Oh, well, it's not about it's about what's inside. Though,
Exactly.
Right? All right, more fast food news. This one of my favorite places.
I
And
know.
hey, Kalihi, I know you've been watching our new Taco Bell come up, so I'm excited about this.
So starting Thursday, Taco Bell is updating its menu with a reimagination of a crowd favorite. So the fast food chain calls this new addition the Triple Lupa. So it's a play on Taco Bell's current chalupa, and it's actually 3 mini chalupas combined into one product. So each section has a different flavor. So you can choose between nacho cheese, cheesy chipotle, or chipotle, and all you got to do is just grab one and pull it apart, and it makes it into 3 tacos basically.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
the Triple Lupa costs about $3.50 plus tax, and it will hit Taco Bell's nationwide on March 12th, but only for a limited time.
Hey, I can see that fun for
We should
sharing.
split one.
Yeah, I get 2, you get 1.
Rude.
I know. I love fire sauce. I just bought a giant bottle of
Oh
it.
my
and
gosh,
sort of, I can
Jonathan.
almost drink it. I'm a Taco Bell fan. I gotta say. All right, folks, that's it. This is now for this Wednesday edition. I'm Jonathan, alongside Ashley here. We'll be back with you throughout the afternoon as news warrants on the coronavirus outbreak. Again, the president is talking today at 3. That is a prime time national address. We're going to have to wait and see what he says there. We're still awaiting news on that Canadian visitor that had traveled here and went back to Canada and has now tested positive. So we expect the state to talk somewhat about that today. So a lot to get you updated on. Sign up for those newsletters on our website or social media apps so you can get updated right to your inbox. Until then, I'm Jonathan.